We have finally found Pandora's Vault. This is where Dream is being imprisoned in. Let's see if we can find a way in. And I brought along everything possible that we could use to get him out. Let's just make sure nobody is watching us. Wait, what is this? A sign? Guards only. Ooh, it's a backdoor entrance. Nice. This will make it a lot easier. Got a little secret entrance way down here. Perfect. Let's go. Wait, what just happened? Wait, what? Wait. There's armor stands in our face. Wait, I can't mine out either? Can I pearl out? I can't click. I can't course fruit out. Can I even throw potions to kill myself to get out? Oh my goodness, I can't do anything. Every time I break a armor stand, another one just keeps coming in. Hello there, Ray here, and welcome to Ray's Prison. This little device is impossible to escape. It doesn't matter what you bring. You can bring all these crazy items. They are completely useless once you're inside, and everything this contraption uses can be done in a survival world. Hit that subscribe button as I design thousands of crazy machines like this on my channel, and I have entire playlists about weird tricks and tips that you can do in your Minecraft world. In my previous video, I showed how Dream can escape Pandora's Vault, which is a really big prison that is full of obsidian and lava and a bunch of other things that keep him inside. And I made a video showing that Dream can actually escape his very own prison cell just by using a single block in here. Now in that same video, I said that I would come up with a new prison for Dream that would be impossible for him to escape. I also had about 10,000 comments that were confused about how the one block escape method worked. So at the end of this video, I will be covering that as well. But first, let's take a look at Dream's new prison, which I supposedly claim is impossible to escape. Now, one of the first things you might notice is that the prison itself is actually disguised as being a back door. And this is important because you don't want people to think that they're actually going into a trap or a prison. And the entire thing is hidden underground. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, there just has to be some way the player can escape this from within. After all, it doesn't look that menacing. So I got an entire inventory of very useful things. So let's go ahead and hop into it and explain why each of these don't work. So once you hop into it, it activates the device, which kind of starts this little machine up, and it puts a bunch of armor stands in front of your head. It also puts a block over top of you, so you are in the swimming mode, and you can see your guys sitting down in here. Now the first thing you might do is just think, well, I can remove these armor stands. The problem is there is two devices going on here. There's a device that can actually detect how many armor stands are currently inside of the system. And as soon as you remove even one of them, it will just add another one in. Armor stands might not seem like a big deal. You might think like, well, I could just mine through this glass. The problem is the armor stands are in the way, so you can't actually mine anything. You can't even mine like the pressure plate that they're standing on or the block above. If we do F3 plus B, we can actually see how big they are. And as long as you're inside of these white lines, you're unable to do anything. So mining is not an option. We also got blocks. We got like water. We got pufferfish. Problem is you can't place down any blocks in here. First off, because there's no area to place in a block, we have a pressure plate down here. So even though there seems like there's a lot of air here, this is occupying this entire space. And you can't waterlog a pressure plate anyways. And the game thinks you're trying to put armor onto these things rather than actually placing it down around you. This means you also can't right click to eat, you can't right click to throw ender pearls to escape, you can't use like your bow because that's also right clicking. So right clicking is only used to place in armor. So all this stuff that takes right clicking, potions, poison potion, invisibility potion, none of that can be used. And you can't place any items, you can't place in shulker boxes or ender chest. What can you do when you're in here? Well, you can place on anything that goes onto an armor stand. You can place in armor on these guys. But we actually got another system that as soon as you place any armor down, we have a skulk sensor which detects that. And what it does, it places in a new armor stand. Also, the skulk sensor can be tuned so it doesn't detect the player walking around or jumping. Now this is a new device for 1.17, but you could come up with alternative ways to do this in 1.16. You might be wondering, why would you even want to place armor onto armor stand? In the past, I discovered a trick where you can place armor onto villagers using a dispenser. And if that armor would have the thorns effect, this would actually apply to anything that would try to hurt the villager. So if you punched a villager or any other mob punched a villager and hurt it, over time it would actually kill the player or the mob. And you get a special death message saying that you were killed by a villager, and it shows up in your statistics. Now recently, this trick can also be applied to armor stands, so put some thorns on it, and if the player punches it, you see that it hurts the player back. And the player can die from the armor stand in survival. It also says this in the death screen, and it also shows up in your statistic that you were killed by an armor stand. This is a really cool trick, but can also be used to escape my prison. Well, one way you could possibly try to escape is by placing Thorn's armor onto the armor stands and then punching it to kill yourself. Because killing yourself is pretty much the best way to get out of this trap. And that's why I have stuff like poison potions and instant damage potions and even like lava. But even if you do manage to get armor onto armor stands and do a little bit of damage to yourself, notice that we have a regen beacon, a resistance 2 beacon, and even a jump boost beacon. The resistance 2 makes sure that you take very little damage from the Thorn's armor. Regen just re-heals you again. You might not think that jump boost prevents a player from taking damage, but any type of fall damage, including ender pearls, is reduced by having this effect. Not really useful in this situation, but good to know. So even if you make room and take off all of your armor, and you try to place anything onto armor stands, it's going to place it in a new one. Let's go ahead and place in this Thorn's helmet and try to punch it. You see I took a little bit of damage, but I instantly was regenerated. Plus they place in a new armor stand. And the way that the game works is that every time a new entity comes in front of your face, that one takes priority. So if I try to punch the armor stand again, it's now a different one that doesn't have the armor on it. So the ones that do have armor are underneath of a whole bunch of new ones, and it's impossible to get to them. You could try to break a bunch to get to the one that you want, but if you punch too fast, you end up breaking the armor stand that has the thorns, and everything gets picked up by some hoppers underneath. Another way you might try to escape is by breaking so many armor stands that it runs out. The problem is, once again, we have a hopper system underneath that's picking them all up and just recycling them and dispensing them out in front of the player. And you can also put as much storage on top of this, so it never runs out. You might think you could jam the system by like dropping other items into the hopper, which is just picking up everything underneath. But once again, we have a system that will sort out any junk, and it will just drop it down into this cauldron, which is full of lava. And the only thing that gets sorted out is the armor stands, and they get sorted back into the system. Another tactic might be to get a whole bunch of iron blocks, craft them down to ingots, craft those ingots down into nuggets, and with one stack of iron blocks, it can turn into over 5,000 items, and you might be able to use that to try to jam the system. But once again, we have that sorting system, which just puts all the junk into a separate location and burns it in lava. You could also try to escape it by knowing what items are used as the filter items and then dropping those down in here until you break the hopper filters, in which case random junk could come around and go through there. But since it is a trap, you wouldn't know what type of filters are being used. Now another way you might try to get out is to move the armor stands off to the side. That way you could break the glass and escape. So here I have a sword that has knockback. And if I would try to knock back these into the corner, you notice that they don't actually move. And this is because of the cauldron. It has a shape which only allows the armor stands to stay in the center. They can't get pushed around. You also can't knock the armor stands up into the air because there's a block above it, this glass block. So you have no chance of moving them. The only thing you can do is break them, which the machine just replaces them. You might think that you can like break a whole bunch of armor stands and store them in your inventory, and that way they can't go back into the system. But it's actually possible to put some minecarts just underneath of it so they always pick up the items before you do. And you can have so many minecarts underneath here that it doesn't matter how many items you throw on the ground, they can pick them all up and they will eventually get sorted by these two item filters. And then the armor stands get put up each of these dropper lines from both sides, and then they resupply the dispensers, which are dropping them out onto the player. But how much better is this than Pandora's Vault, where Dream is imprisoned in? Well, with that one, you do need to make sure the player doesn't bring any items in. Where with mine, you can bring whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's not going to help you. And that one, you also need to make sure that the prisoner sleeps in a bed. That way, if he does die, he will respawn back inside the system. But with mine, you don't have to force the player to click on a bed. You can just accidentally wander into it and he will be trapped. But it does make it more difficult as you have to make sure the player doesn't die. Otherwise, you could escape it. With Pandora's Vault, it's really easy to have the players come and visit Dream. But with this one, it's not very friendly for having visitors, which is a big downside, especially on a server like DreamSMP. Now, both my design and that one does have a flaw, which is at any time, outside players could come in and release the prisoner. Let me know in the comments if you also want to have this protected from outside players. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on that new prison. Now, another way you could try to escape is by having an ender pearl in a stasis chamber and then activating it by relogging. A little trick I showed quite a few years ago. I'll have it linked below if you want to check it out. Now in Pandora's Vault, the player is killed, and when the player dies, any stray ender pearls that are in stasis chambers are also automatically removed from the game. That's how they prevent him from using that. that does mean you have to fool the player to clicking on a bed or a respawn anchor. One way you might be able to escape this is by using a super fast auto clicker, even if there is a lot of armor stands in here. Because having Elder Guardian doesn't actually prevent the player from destroying entities any slower, you could break them quite fast, so no using third-party programs like auto clickers. Now, if you really want to, you could always just put more armor stands in here. You could put like 5,000 armor stands in here, and you don't have to worry about the player taking entity cramming, which is different than if you use like minecarts or boats. So just imagine there is an infinite amount of armor stands. Now in this example here, I have it set up so that there is only 20, and then once there is 20, it stops putting in more. But if I remove this redstone here, it has to put in so many armor stands, it has to go all the way around and power it from this direction. So now there is close to 100 armor stands in there, and you can even extend this redstone farther so that the machine will constantly keep 150 of them in there at a time. So it's really up to you how you want to set this up. Also, I designed this for vanilla survival, meaning that there's no mods on the server and you're not using a modded client. So no hacks or no turning off entities so you can click right past them. I also assume that the player probably has full health when he goes into this thing, as most players would have that, as well as full saturation and hunger. Now on hard difficulty, if you run a saturation and hunger, you end up taking damage, and that's why it's important to have the regen beacon there. Even though it's very difficult for the player to lose all his hunger inside of here, can be done. Now on normal difficulty, you won't die from the hunger, but you will get very low health. So the regen beacon will prevent the player from dying, but if he also takes thorns damage on top of that, he could end up dying. And because of that, you don't really want the player to get his thorns pieces back once he places them onto the armor stand. And that's where the skulk sensor comes in. As soon as you place anything onto the armor stand, there is a new redstone device, which is called a skulk sensor, that can detect things like armor being placed onto armor stands, and it'll put out a redstone signal which comes over here and will activate the system to put in more armor stands. And that way you can't get back to the one that you're punching. Now it is possible to get some of your armor pieces back. You use like a helmet that goes on the very top of an armor stand, and then you punch that to try to get damaged. If you would break these armor stands really fast, the item would end up on top of this cauldron here, where the player could actually jump up and grab it again to reuse it. You can avoid this by putting copper minecarts closer to the top here, and this means any items that even fall way up there will get picked up. Now relogging also doesn't help you. As soon as you come back, everything is exactly the same. And if you have pets that are nearby, they really won't want to teleport into you, but they're not going to also help you escape it. Because even if they do get inside of there, they're just going to get in your way. And if you try to right click them, you're just going to end up making them stand or sit. And even if you would remove them, you would still end up having to deal with the armor stands. One way you can prevent players from getting close to this prison is by activating a circle of chunk ban. So any player that would try to get close to this would end up loading a chunk that had too much information in it, which would kick the player off of the server. Now the version that I put underground, I made sure everything looked like it was made out of stone. Otherwise I covered it in maps or I used pictures. So now you can't even see that there's dispensers here or that there is even a cauldron. All you see is a pressure plate that looks like it's going to go into maybe a secret room on the side. And then when you do touch the bottom, it's going to push all the blocks in, destroying the pictures, the item frames, and even the ladder. Another thing that I did to disguise this trap is where I have the beacon, I covered up the beacon beam so they don't go into effect until the player actually activates it. And there is a hole that goes all the way up to the surface. I disguised it by putting it inside of one of these water pools. So it's unlikely for a person to actually see that there is a hole there. And I did put some path blocks on top of it, which makes it really hard to distinguish it. And that way there's no indication that you're going to get trapped from this hole in the ground that just appears to go into somebody's base or a secret entrance. In my video where I show Dream can escape his prison by using a single block, the majority of people who left comments on that video didn't quite understand what was actually going on within Dream's prison to start with. Some people thought that Dream himself had only half a heart, and this is incorrect. It's not Dream who has half a heart, but it's the visitors who are coming to visit him. As shown in a clip from Tommy's video, Dream has a lot of health, and every time he dies from the lava, he ends up just respawning at his bed location and then drops back down into the main cell. Now if Dream decides to stay at half a heart, that is completely up to him. The next thing that people got wrong in the comments was that they thought this netherite barrier here was up all the time. Now this is also not true. The barrier is only up right before Dream gets visitors, and it goes down when the lava is in place and the visitor is no longer here. So in Dream's all by himself, the barrier is down, and you can see this also in some footage from DreamSMP.
You want to know the prank that I do sometimes?
What?
So if I burn my clock, then he has to come and replace it.
Uh-huh.
So I do that sometimes because then I'll see him and I say hi.
So the Dream does have access to the lava, and he's not at 1 health. The next thing that people were confused about in the comments was the mining fatigue. Why I didn't have mining fatigue in my previous video. And that's because Elder Guardians apply the mining fatigue, which is a special effect that the player can get that would make them mine much slower. They only do this once per minute. So you can see right now, even though there's 3 Elder Guardians underneath of me, I'm not getting it instantly. Instead, only once a minute do they check for people around them to see if they have it already, and if they don't, then they apply it. And it only lasts 5 minutes, and then once it is gone, the player can mine blocks like normal again until the Guardian decides to apply it to the player. So you have plenty of time to mine all this stuff. Even if there is 3 Elder Guardians like I placed down here, the way they apply mining effect changes when you reload the chunks. So even if you space it out so that they will give mining fatigue every 20 seconds, over time they'll eventually all start applying it at the exact same time. By having more Elder Guardians, it does help, but if you watch the footage from DreamSMP, you can see that the mining fatigue is actually not on a lot of the players, giving them so much time that they can actually mine through obsidian with their bare fist. So even with Elder Guardians, you can still mine blocks just fine. Dream can also go into the lava and just die. This will cause the effect to be removed. Now it takes the Elder Guardians a whole entire minute to apply it again, to get plenty of time to break stuff. Now some of you guys also asked why I use the lectern to create the fire to produce the nether portal. Why didn't I use the chest? That's because the chest is unlike a lectern. Chests don't actually burn up, but they do cause fire to spread. So if I place a chest here, the lava that is 1 block lower to me over here will search around and see the chest, and it will apply a fire to the side of it. Since it won't attach to there, it'll end up over here on top of this block. There you go. And another thing people ask is, why didn't I build another portal right here? Well, it's 2 blocks tall, and the default nether portal has to be at least 3 blocks tall. That's why I went way over here to build the nether portal. It's actually the closest place that you can build it over there. Some of you guys suggested using invisibility to sneak in with extra gear to get him out. The problem is you can see these particle effects, even when you're invisible. Now, some of you guys suggested to break the cauldron and use that. And I'll show you what happens if you try to break it with your fist. It'll actually not drop anything, and you need to use a pickaxe. So it's gonna break, and yeah, you get nothing. Now you can break the lectern, the chest, and both of the glowstone blocks, and there is an alternative way to escape. So if I go ahead and make this one into a block, instead of using 4 blocks, you can also use 3 blocks. So if you place an lectern right here, it has to be facing out into the lava, like that. Now you can place a block against the edge of this piece here. And since it's the edge, it will place it on this side of it. So if I click right here, I'll place it over there. And you can see that I don't even have to go into lava in order to do this. Now all you have to do is remove the lectern and pick it up as a block. Then you have to update this lava. And whenever you get mining fatigue, just wait until it goes away. Then you remove this chest and you pick it up as a block, and this is going to update the lava, and it's going to flow towards you, and you'll see that it will try to flow back over here. You want to place in a chest there, and now it's going to flow that direction, which is exactly where you want it. Now you're going to remove this chest and place it back over there again, just like so. Now the lava should go all the way to right here, and this is where you place in your lectern. And then you let the fire spread around onto this side, which will make another portal. And that's how you get another portal to escape the prison. Now, another question you guys were asking was, what happens when we get to another side? Because doesn't Sam have a obsidian cage on this side as well? Well, the thing is, on this side, you don't have any Elder Guardians, so you just wait for your mining fatigue to go away, then you can just mine the obsidian and get out of it. Because on the nether side, it is definitely a lot weaker prison than on the overworld side. Some of you guys thought that Sam also had like lava on this side, but the player could go ahead and collect more blocks prior to lighting the portal by letting the mobs spawn in here, and then kill mobs like zombies for iron, witches for glowstone, spiders for string, and then you could craft these into wool blocks, iron trapdoors, and glowstone blocks, allowing you to bridge across the lava and break your way out even on the nether side. Now, some of you guys thought you could take bones and make bone blocks, The problem is you don't have an actual crafting grid in his cell. You only got this 2x2 one, which doesn't make bone blocks since you need a 3x3. Here you can actually see all the stuff that you can make. You can also make stuff like pressure plates, which are a little bit cheaper than trapdoors, but need a supported block to be placed down. You can also make shears to mine up your wool a bit faster. You also can make carpet if you get at least 8 strings, and that will give you more blocks. You also can use wool or the carpet to ignite the portal. It could be possible that on DreamSMP they don't have fire tick on. It means fire wouldn't spread or ignite the lectern. Some of you guys thought behind the glowstone and the lectern that there was actual observers detecting if players would break these. And if so, it would send the guard in to stop Dream from escaping. Now, I couldn't find any indication that this was the case, but if there is some behind them, they are a lot easier to mine than mining through obsidian. And if so, you would probably only want to do this when the guard was offline. Now, another suggestion that I see you guys ask was, is if you could have a witch pushed into lava, then when it pulls up the fire resistant potion to drink it, if you would kill the witch during that time, it would actually drop the fire res potion. And then you would end up with this potion, which you could drink and then swim across the lava. Then you could swim up and grab the buckets that are in here. Then once you got the bucket, you can go in your chamber and grab this water. Then you can use this water to get up into your respawn area. And then from here, you could possibly destroy your bed. And once your bed is destroyed, and then when you die, you're going to end up in spawn, which is kind of a free way to escape. Even if the bed is covered in obsidian, it'll take you a while, but you could still get to it and break it. And this might be the new way that Dream would have to escape, because Awesome Dude did come in here and convert different normal obsidian into Crine obsidian. And if you guys didn't know, this type of obsidian doesn't work for nether portals, so you can't produce them when it's in the way. And because he placed this stuff around, there is no area in here for nether portals to be created. Now, it is possible to get a creeper to blow up the cauldron, and there's a chance that it will drop the item like it did this time. This way you can get another item to work with. But with the new lights in here from the Crine obsidian, there probably isn't an area for them to spawn in. They wouldn't be able to get more blocks in order to have an easier time of escaping. Another way you could escape just with 3 items is by putting a chest inside this drop chute by jumping up and placing it as high as you can go, and then jumping up and placing the items in there. Then when you die, you'll be taken to your respawn area, and then when you fall down, you're going to land on top of your chest. So you respawn here and it'll push you off and you land on top of your chest. You can grab these items and use them to stack back up to your respawn area or to stack up to the dispenser to get the harming potions. You can break the bed and escape the entire thing by killing yourself in the lava and ending back up at spawn. Another way to escape is to have a tame cat. This one is mine, and then have it in a minecart. That way when you get stuck in the jail, you can teleport these cats to you. And the way this works is have a dead man switch here. Essentially, it's a long timer. You can have a player activate this. All it does is going to break the minecart. So if I remove that, going to break the minecart, and then the cat's going to teleport to me. And this is a trick I showed a while ago for moving your pets around very easily. So the cats will teleport into the prison, and then if you kill them, you will actually get a chance of getting a string. And then if you get 4 string, you can turn that into a wool block. And with a few wool blocks, you can turn them into carpets, which get you even more blocks. And then you can use these to actually stack up to where your bed is at and destroy it or go to the potions. And with this method, you don't have to break any of the blocks, and the message from the cat dying is only given to the owner, but no one else will see it. So there's many ways to escape that type of prison. Also, I had some comments asking how it was possible that I played Minecraft for almost 12 years. That's because in 2 months, it's a 12-year anniversary of when Minecraft was first available. And subscribe so you don't miss out on me turning this trap into a full-out prison that other players can't even save you from. This entire contraption was designed on my live streams, so make sure you follow me so you don't miss out on other crazy machines that I build. And thanks everybody who participated in this stream and also tested this crazy prison. If you'd like to try to escape my prison, I provide the world download in the description. Don't forget to check out my playlist where I have tons of crazy farms and machines that you can build up in your Minecraft world. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!